The Supreme Court unanimously deciding today that Colorado must allow Donald Trump to be on the presidential ballot, but there was some disagreement on how far that ruling should stretch. 5 of the conservative justices wrote that no state can ever remove any federal officer from a ballot. The 3 liberal-leaning justices disagreeing wrote, quote, "The majority announces that a disqualification for insurrection can occur only when Congress enacts a particular kind of legislation pursuant to Section 5 of the 14th Amendment. In doing so, the majority shuts the door on other potential means of federal enforcement. The majority attempts to insulate all alleged insurrectionists from future challenges to their holding federal office."
I was kind of optimistic about them taking him off the ballot, but at the same time, I was concerned because I've been hearing a lot about how if Donald Trump has been taken off the ballot in Colorado because of an insurrection in which he was never convicted for, what's stopping Texas from taking Biden off the ballot because they feel like he's not doing anything about the border? And then you get into this big mess of taking people off the ballots that they don't like in whatever state. And at the same time, the minority, the liberal justices, got a point. Donald Trump is the John Gotti of this insurrection thing. I mean, there were people that were there that were like the minions, but they were marionette puppets because Donald Trump was on the high horse pulling all the strings. Now, you're not going to find the owner of General Motors down on the assembly line making cars. No different than you're going to find John Gotti out committing crimes like that. So you're not going to have Donald Trump actually storming the Capitol, even though he wanted to go. So the minority Supreme Court justices were saying that even though he was not convicted of a crime, the Constitution doesn't allow for anybody to be convicted of a crime. They just have to knowingly participate in an insurrection. They're saying that because the majority sided with Trump, anybody can commit an insurrection or try to overthrow the government, lose, and then try to run for office. And it's okay because states can't block federal elections, even though states set their own rules for how to elect people into the federal government. It's real confusing and real tricky. Now, don't freak out because I have this book in my hand. Adolf Hitler tried to overthrow the government via an insurrection. He tried to copy Benito Mussolini in Italy, and he failed. He was imprisoned, and he wrote Mein Kampf, My Struggle. He got out of jail and was elected back into power. So the majority is saying that Congress need to put regulations on federal insurrectionists. And right now, Congress can't decide on what to put on a ham sandwich. So yes, this is a small victory for Donald Trump. He can be on the ballot. But what does this say about America in the long run? And I predict that the reason why they're going to decide in the affirmative on the ballot issue is because they're going to now decide against him as far as him having presidential immunity for life. What do you think?